Everybody, welcome to the Sunday Soul Search. And if you have been on Facebook waiting for us, I do apologise for all of the mess that was there. There's been internet problems, there's been connection problems, there's been every other problem. I think the universe is trying to think, no, we're not going to see you two today, but we have persevered, didn't we, Jane Morton?
Well, you did because I was too busy just doing my tech.
She's trying to tech in the background. I'm going to, in a moment when Jane takes over, make sure that I have shared this to Facebook as well. But yeah, welcome everybody. It is nearly Christmas, is it not?
It is in.
Everybody's running around shops probably today trying to sort out their lives.
We can only assume there is something very strange going on with the internet and the gremlins, or maybe they've all packed up and gone to Lapland for Christmas.
Well, I'm just going to check my Facebook to make sure it's not gone on there while Jane talks to you for a moment.
Wow, what should I talk about? Because they're probably bored, aren't they? Just seeing us on different things. So we were trying something new this week. We wanted to try and live stream from our studio, connect it to YouTube, connect it to Facebook. Save me editing all week, but it seems to be that someone upstairs or downstairs or even sideways didn't want us to do it that way. If you have to watch this pre-recorded after we've recorded it, I do apologise. We can't do much about our internet. Mine was down most of the morning. It came back and now it looks like we're having problems anyway. So today we wanted to talk about psychic and spiritual things, and we wanted to draw some cards because it was going to be a live. The fact that it doesn't seem to be hitting Facebook is most annoying. So all we can do is chat as we normally do and apologise.
Oh,
We will work on this for the new year, I can assure you, because it's starting to get frustrating.
we'll also could do a into the new year a special live on Facebook together in the same room and
Yeah.
try to
Yeah,
make
and
things easier.
that's probably what's made it harder this week. We thought we'd try it from individual places like we used to do in the old days when we used to film our show, not because either of us are infectious. We don't work that way, because it is Christmas. We've got lots on ourselves. We were trying to do it easy for us, no, not lying, but also seeing how it will work should the need arise that we don't need to be in the same studio. Clearly, they like us being together, Polly. Those
Yeah, that's what it is.
Our guides like us to be together and they want us together. They're probably going, "What are you doing this way? You only live around the corner from each other." Well, we're busy. We're busy guides. You should know that.
And it's nearly Christmas, and I've got to clean out my car because I've got a new car coming on Friday. That's my Christmas present to myself. I've got no money in the bank.
Was pleading poverty, but she went and got herself
Gonna have a
a
funky new car.
friendly new car with gold bits on it.
Well, it's
Gold.
not brand new. It's a couple of years old. But yeah, it's new to me, and I never make big, well, to be honest, it's only become a big purchase for other reasons, not because it's still on finance. But I'm still excited about having my new car, and that's my Christmas present to myself. So I will take Jane for a little spin in it once I have it. It'll be my little dodgem because it's going to be a what do you call it? An attic.
Whoa, that's
So
what I'm.
I just have to go. "Vroom." I just can't wait.
So, as we can't do interaction with people, and again, we apologise, maybe at the end of this, we can pull a card each and just give a generic reading out of it. It might resonate with some people that watch it. So, spiritual, psychic, medium.
Mm. Wow.
Get
The
that?
first
Did you
thing
get
you
that?
said,
Spiritual, psychic, medium. That's what
yeah.
you are. What shall we? Well, there's a few things we've talked about in the past, but what shall we start with?
Well, let's first of all, because you said spiritual psychic. Now, we all know, and we have probably mentioned it before, that there are some particularly snobby people about, how I'm a medium, I'm not a psychic, I'm a medium, and I'm an evidential medium, I'm this, I'm that, and the other, right? Well, for one thing, that really bugs me because I really don't care if somebody's a psychic medium, a spiritual medium, or what a medium. Every medium is psychic, and every psychic isn't always going to be a very good medium. It doesn't always work like that. Some people are amazing tarot readers. Some people are amazing at tarot cards, oracle cards, intuition, intuitive work. And that can go through healing and actual readings. And I absolutely cannot stand it when people are really snobby and stand up there and say, oh, no, no, you're a psychic. You're a psychic. Well, so what if you are? You know what I mean? If I'm getting a good reading for someone, I don't care whether they're a psychic, a psychic medium, or a spiritual medium. All I care about is that I actually got a good, honest reading and that I came out with something that's going to either help me go forward or give me some clarity or give me some information about my spirit loved one or loved ones up there. But I do feel that that certain institutions have wrapped it into people that you have to be this and you have to be that. You have to go through this, you have to go through these standards, and you have to have these codes. And I really, as long as you are an honest person who works with integrity and wants to go out there to help people and help the world, that's all that matters to me. So if you are in any sort of group or institution that is wrapping your knuckles for only being a psychic, can you please move away from them and just do yourself a big favour, or anybody that is putting you down when you are working hard on your development? Honestly, my biggest ick, I want to say, are people like that. So that's why the people I work with, one being you and other people that I've worked with, if I find their energy and the way they work is full of integrity, honesty, and actually is for the power of good, that's why I'm attracted to them. Not because they have a status and blab on about themselves all the time. There's my little ick of the day.
So what am I, Polly? What did I used to call myself?
I'm only a psychic. I'm not a medium. Is it? That was, and even now, sometimes you'll say you work more psychically, which you might, right? But to be honest, some of the evidence that you give is absolutely the bollocks. I won't lie. It is. You know, I'm sitting there when we're doing a demo together, and I'm thinking, she's just like said she's just more psychic. Yet she's giving this information which isn't just about like going into somebody's house and seeing what's there, blah, blah, blah. You're going back to when that person was alive. It could have been in 1954 when they had stuff on, that mattered to them, or where they put something. Or a present that they had or kept or something. Some of the stuff you come out with is absolutely incredible. And I sit there with my mouth open, bearing in mind you haven't been on the demo scene for that long.
3 years.
To be honest, you cream a lot of people that do profess to be like the dogs whatnots.
Well,
But you do.
it is. I mean, yeah, it's 3 years. Just gone 3 years in September when I agreed to do that first demo with you in a nice little positive living group, thinking it wouldn't be busy, and they were bringing chairs right to the back of the doors. I mean, amazing afterwards, but I did think, yeah, it won't be busy. And obviously, loads of people that came to that went on to come on to our group, came to our other demos, come on and worked with us in various ways, in trance and stuff like that. So actually, it was nice because I get why a demo is maybe important to a medium, because you get a chance for people to see you do that work and also warm to you, because not everyone people. But I also get why the audience want to see a medium. So, but I still sit very much on the fence with that. It's not because it's not my comfort zone. I mean, I wouldn't be doing these sort of things, podcasts, and when we used to do SPTV, I have no problem talking. More people have problems shutting me up. I obviously, in my corporate world, chaired and panelled things and gave speeches and stuff. Yeah, in the early days, I didn't enjoy that because it's just you have to get used to it. It's always been about the whole impersonal stuff for me on a platform. But yes, 3 years, only a baby to some, and some out there would probably say I'm not experienced enough, haven't trained enough in the philosophy, haven't learned the basics of mediumship. This is where I find it fascinating. Well, I didn't ask to be a medium. I didn't ask to be a psychic. I've probably fought it. Well, I have fought it all my life. Mediumship probably was the first, as I've said before. I was a very young girl when I started seeing people and asking my mum who they were. What training do I need? Discipline, yes, and integrity, learning how to deliver.
And common sense.
Common sense. But how, who's going to train me as a medium? I'm not disrespecting our fellow mediums that we know that follow a certain different route, but I don't need a certificate on a bit of paper to tell people I'm a medium. I didn't ask to be a medium. I didn't train to be a medium. For whatever reason, I have always been able to see dead people, as I used to call it when I was younger. Now I'm a bit more respectful. They're your loved ones, obviously, but they are people that have passed over. So I don't get that. I've never got that. And maybe that's why I'm not the most comfortable with demos. Like I said, not because I'm in any way, shape or form worried about them, more because there's always someone judging it. But yeah, but how do I do it? Is it a knowing with me?
Well, I think
But I
it's
do see,
I
but
don't think it matters how. I think as long as, again, it comes back to integrity, taking personal responsibility for the information you're going to be giving, and that connection. I mean, you can go to a development group and learn how to connect better, but you're not necessarily going to connect like everybody else. And you're not necessarily going to, just because you might have gone to this group, and this group. I mean, all of those three groups might have given you separate tools to help you, but actually, some people are just natural mediums. Some people are natural psychics and very natural. If you thought about your life to the point where, and I've said this in the development groups before, you know, you go through life, don't you? And you get these inklings or you get these feelings. And, it might be a feeling that somebody isn't all right or isn't very well, or you might have found that you're thinking about somebody and they call you or they phone you up or they text you, and there is a psychic link between you and someone. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe, never have done. I believe that you're in the right place at the right time, good or bad, for that experience, and that it has some part to play in your life, whether you're learning something from it or it means you're letting go of something, or the means that some opportunity or person of importance is going to be in your life. Many people could see that as circumstantial or coincidence. I don't believe in that. I believe that, you've got to trust your gut on things. You've got to trust your gut on whether you go for that situation or go for that person or go for that job. If it feels right in your gut, then you do it. And it's like when you do psychic work or mediumship work or intuitive work, you trust your gut, don't you? You trust the feelings that you have. Some people are always just going to have that. And some people are going to go on to do more, bigger things with it. And it doesn't sort of matter as long as you have the connection and as long as you have got the integrity and as long as you've got the common sense and the personal responsibility to deliver what you're getting. And know that sometimes we're going to be a little bit wrong because it's not like being on
oh,
a
we're never
telephone.
right. And you remember what I said before? A medium that we both know from up north told me you only had to get 40% evidence on a demo, and that's why I never wanted to do it, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I wanted to give 99%. But we know that's not practical. It's not practical in our readings when we do tarot readings. It's not, I mean, probably the only most natural thing that does come to me is healing. But again, when we
Oh,
give advice from healing, that's still, we don't know if that's 100% because not everyone comes back in our feedback. Our spirit release work, we don't get a lot of feedback back, but then we hear off cuff remarks from them or other people saying, oh yeah, I heard that this is brilliant, they were really pleased and we want one. No one's actually giving the feedback back. 100% is too much anyway. Who's ever going to hit 100%? And we shouldn't, as humans, expect to be 100% because we've got flaws. So,
well, of course, and plus the fact that sometimes the way we interpret things isn't 100%. It's like, unless you are like living in La La Land all of your life, you're not going to be able to get
oh, you're not real.
100%
Or you're not real.
information.
You're
Or
not.
you're not real, or you're not a human being. But yeah, it's a
I just
it's a
think it.
funny one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a shame because 10 years I've been doing this openly. And for 40 plus years, I've been like shutting it down and going, no, no, no. But looking back, if I just trusted it a bit more, I would have helped myself a lot easier along my way with some of the decisions I made, some of the people I chose, some of the things that I was sensing. But again, maybe I had to learn all that to be able to do what I do now to help others.
Of course.
I think it's a shame because I know I worked in a very pressurised organisation, well, two very pressurised organisations, one education, one health, and people are so hell bent on climbing up the hierarchy ladder, getting a career. That's fine. I'm not knocking that, but then chasing money, which we know
Mm.
in the end just end up making you ill. And in the corporate world, it is a bit dog eat dog. And if you're not happy just plodding along, you're going to have to move around and get yourself recognised and do things. I've always
Mm.
been spoken, or as someone once said to me, it's confidence, it's not outspoken, you know your own mind. I've always had managerial roles because I like to be able to take control of a situation, not people, even though I've been accused of that. But I know my own mind. So working under someone was never the option, really. I struggled because if I thought they were wrong, I would struggle with that.
Working for someone's a problem to me.
Yeah. So But you go
generally.
and do this work on your, you do this work, and obviously you meet people along the way, like we met each other, and we've met people that are all doing the same work in different ways, shapes, and forms. And you thought it was all going to be fluffy and light, and everyone was going to be really nice because the corporate world was really like dog eat dog. And you find that no one's any different. I mean, I'm not
No,
saying
it
everyone's the same,
it
but
is like a
yeah,
psychic corporate world
well,
or a
yeah.
mediumship
And you're
corporate
not
world.
good enough. You're this, they're this. Oh, they were rubbish. Well, they might be rubbish to someone. You might read for someone as rubbish. I might get a good one. We might swap and they say I was rubbish and that you're good. Everyone, like you said, is different. Everyone reads differently. Everyone gives different information. Should usually give different information unless it's a big thing because we all pick up different things because of the way we work. So
Mm.
in the 10 years of doing this, I have been so not now. Now I just go, oh, really? I have watched the unpleasantness of how people treat each other or behind people's backs and what they say. If you think a medium up on demo is not very good, don't go back and see them, but don't go bad
Yeah,
mouth. We have.
easy.
We know who we like and who we don't like, and we're normally pretty on the same wavelength there, aren't we? We know who we enjoyed watching and who we didn't, and we know who we like to have a reading with and who we don't. That said, I very rarely have readings because I don't see the point when I can do it. And we do a quick, oh, give us an answer to this to each other. If you're not happy with that person, or someone's come to you because they said, oh, they were rubbish. All right, well, they might have been rubbish at the time, but we all have bad days.
But sometimes I don't think they are. I sometimes feel that, I mean, yes, it might not have been resonated with them for whatever reason. Even somebody that came to me the other day said, everyone I go to says I'm really hard to read. And they were a little bit, right? But they were a little bit. But once you have cracked them, and I don't mean in a horrible way. What I mean is if somebody has got their natural defenses up for whatever reason that is, I mean, they might have had a really hard life. They might want a reading, but they're still very closed in. Once you have, when I say broken the social part of the barrier, and they can start enjoying it and things start to make sense to them and all of that, it's good. But I mean, and I don't know if I told you this, I know I've told you this on some thing we've done, but I had somebody come once and absolutely loved their reading. And they came back about 6 months later for another reading. And, she said, your reading was so good, so good. She goes, I told all my friends. So she goes, I told 9 of my friends. She said 8 of them thought you were absolutely amazing, and 1 of them thought you were crap. And I laughed, and she went, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Because 8 out of 9's not bad, right?"
Again, I don't care if someone says I'm crap. I'll go, whatever. There is a few people that get really het up if they get bad feedback or actually get no feedback. I don't care if you give me feedback. I really
Yeah.
don't. You've come, I've given you what I've given you. If you come back, great. If you don't and go on, it's not the end of the world. I think people get too upset about that. There's only one thing as a psychic counsellor as well, because obviously I trained in counselling years ago and then did psychic counselling. I just want my clients to leave feeling good about themselves. As long as they
Mm.
got something that made them go out smiling and not a lot of the stuff we give is always happy. We know that. But if they can leave with a bit of positivity, then I've done my job. Doesn't matter if they ever come
Mm.
back to see me again. I have made them feel slightly better about themselves than when they entered my house an hour before. So feedback and anything like that, that's enough for me because you can see it, can't you, in their body language, in their face. So, yeah,
Mm.
of course we get awkward clients, but it's not going to stop us keep doing it, is it?
And some people don't wanna hear what you're saying. I mean, there is the age-old thing of, that person that's coming in, sitting, opposite you that day, they might have gone to 50 readers prior because they want to know if their boyfriend or girlfriend's coming back or whatever. And, if you've got a bond like that with somebody, of course it's upsetting. And of course it's hard for them to perhaps let go. But they might have, if you ask the same question all the time, at some point, somebody's going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm very much, this is how it is. This is what I'm getting. And I don't feel like it's going to make you happy. For example, if you were to stay, that was just one that I'm thinking of. But they've told me I'm crap because I didn't say what they wanted me to say. I had it the one time I did one of those when I phoned the phone-in ones companies where you phone for a reading, and they're a massive rip-off. So if you're thinking about doing it, please don't.
No, it was one of the things I was going to go on to in a minute. So
Massive
yeah,
rip-off.
when you finish, we're yeah.
I did it. I mean, it's awful because, that person might have a big thing going on in their life. They've paid for 20 minutes, and 20 minutes it goes boomf, disappears, and then they have to come back on and request you again. And you're trying to, if you've had one in between that, then you're having to then link into them again. Really hate it. Anyway, so I had this woman screaming at me, calling me see you next Tuesdays and all sorts of things, telling me I was useless because her question was, is this person going to come back into her life? And so basically, in a nutshell, I said, I mean, this is a long time ago, didn't know who for the person from Adam, not naming any names. But basically, I'd looked at the cards and I'd said, no, you might see them around Christmas time, but it isn't for a reconciliation. And I'd said it very nicely. I said, this feels like it's been done and dusted for quite a long time, but you're hanging on to it. And so I said, how long is it since you were together? And she said, 3 years. And I said, I'm really sorry. If it was going to get back, if you were going to get back together, I think you'd have done it by now. And I said, do you understand why you might see them at Christmas? And she said, yeah, well, his mother lives a few doors down. So, yeah, he probably will come back for Christmas. So I was thinking, well, that's that then. That's that part. I said, I really do feel like there's been too much water under the bridge and blah, blah. Didn't want to hear that I could see somebody else coming once she'd cut off that tie from that person because she was dead set on that person. Anyway, she said, well, the last people I spoke to said that they were going to come back. And I said, well, I'm really sorry. I'm not getting that.
But isn't that the worry? Isn't that the worry? When we both set out to do spirit release work, we knew that it was to eventually probably replace our readings. And not because we want to upset people, but because we know that spirit release work will do much more for a person, help them along their way than having that half-hour reading. Readings are good for changing your job or looking at career matters and a house move or something like that. Love relationships, we always know are a little bit touchy. But this is where it's worrying because I'm not saying take us with a pinch of salt. It isn't a joke like people think it is when they're being like when we post this out and people go, oh yeah, didn't you know that already? You probably got someone now on Facebook, so we try to go on there saying, oh what, you didn't see that, perceive that was going to happen. We're used to all that. It's not a problem, but it's worrying when our clients are so het up on what we're going to say, and you can record it. You go out the door, you choose what way you're going to go, left or right. You can try and make anything that was said happen, but actually by doing so, totally disrupt your path or your course. So if you
And your mental health.
yeah, and your mental health. Because you're taking for gospel what was said in a reading, and we've just said it's not always 100% right because it's how we interpret it. That's why we have to have integrity, sensitivity, and be empaths. It's very dangerous when people haven't got those principles because that's when people can become quite fixated with their reading. But I know famous people, Princess Diana was one of them, all went for readings to get regular guidance. And like we've said before, back in the day, Egyptian times and places like that, they had psychics to do just that, to counsel the people in charge. But you have to have an element. I was reading an article on Nostradamus the other day saying, how can anyone truly predict his prediction, understand his predictions? I've got a book from his actual quotes, and I'd need a degree in Nostradamus just to understand it.
I know. It's like there's things that are loosely have been
Interpreted.
connected,
And then,
but interpreted wrong.
yeah, so someone goes and interprets it and says it was like the 9/11 and all the other stuff he's done. But he actually, in one of his books, said the world was going to come to an end several years ago. And, well, maybe it has, and we're just all living in a bit of a strange reality anyway, because that's an
Maybe spiritually it has come to it,
yeah.
like as in certain things come to an end for.
Well, I'm not saying he's wrong because he's one of the most famous interpreters, and obviously he was a scryer, and you know that I quite like my scrying, messing around with my scrying, but there is an element of who interpreted it. It's like anything. When you send a text to somebody, you can read it so wrongly. If you are feeling a little bit delicate, you can read
Or
it.
if it's punctuated really badly
Yeah.
and doesn't make any 50 cents and then you've got the wrong end of the
Which
stick.
happens a lot in texting now and
Yeah.
on Facebook because people are doing it quick. So I'm not saying we're not real, and I'm not saying that we don't work with Integral, and I'm not saying anyone else doesn't. What I'm saying is that people must come with an open mind and leave with an open mind. To go and live your life or fixate on what was said is actually worrying. Which
Mm.
is why we, like I said, prefer doing our spirit release work. I certainly prefer doing my healing because I think people benefit from that more. But we get that people still like a reading. So going back to the psychic stuff, because we obviously run a development group. So if anyone is local and watches this on Facebook, we do run a development group, and it's fun as well as interesting, isn't it? But
Mhm.
we talked about fake mediums and psychics, didn't we, the other day? And that is unfortunately out there. There are people that have done a quick course and suddenly gone out and said they're a psychic or a medium, or they've just started getting a bit of information and thought they'd read the room, as we call it. And that is dangerous. That is quite dangerous to people. But when I was doing my very many researches a little while ago, I came across that as a psychic medium that I came across who has, I'm not going to name her. She's got a very big following, but she happens to have, I say fortunate, but I'd say
I know what you're going to talk
in her
about
case,
now.
unfortunate. She has the unfortunate thing of having the same first name as a very well-known psychic medium. And there seems to be a bit of controversy now because the very well-known one has sent her a letter of almost threatening her that she's going to sue her for having the same name. I love the response from the one that's got a big following, very big following. So, and actually has just read for Amy Winehouse's dad.
Okay.
Gave permission for her to put that a little thank you out from him, not the details. So this woman doesn't need to be connected with anyone that used to be on telly, used to go around the circuits in the big halls, who actually I've watched and walked out halfway through a show many years ago. So admittedly,
I was horrified.
I was a bit of a
Horrified when I
cynic
went to
still
watch
anyway.
that one.
So this woman doesn't need to associate herself with her at all. She's doing very well for herself. To get that letter, I laughed because she did put in her response, I think you should take this up with my mother. She named me because she can't change her name. I mean, I don't think there is anyone out there called Jane.
She can, but she doesn't.
Why
She
should
doesn't
she?
want to. But why should
But
she?
she
Yeah.
uses her surname, which is different to the other one. I found that quite hilarious because to me, as I said to you at the time, that's a little bit of shadow work, I think, for the famous one. Maybe she's realised that she's either time to hang up her hat. She wasn't as good as she thought. She's rode on the backs of people. And again, this is our views. And I know this will go out and someone might try and sue me. I haven't got any money. Don't
To be
bother.
honest, the person that you're talking about, the famous, been on TV, et cetera, et cetera. When I went to see her, was obviously I didn't know you then, but probably was in the same same hall. I was absolutely disgusted. I didn't walk out, but I was absolutely disgusted. In fact, at one point, I nearly cried because she uses like this, all this emotion and unnecessary
Yeah.
emotion that would make it seem as though your spirit loved one was in pain or in some sort of tragic state
You did
once they've
do that.
crossed over. And it's awful. And I would hate, especially this was about a child in spirit,
It's
and would
this, I
absolutely
think we were at the
hate.
same show, Polly.
Yeah.
Did he choke on toast?
No, this one was something about on a railway track
No, but I've witnessed
in the
the same
rain.
thing, and it was horrendous.
But your child, your spirit loved one is not going to be in pain or
No,
suffering
they
once they've crossed over into the
they
spirit
show
world,
us,
into the
don't they,
light.
elements of what was wrong with them. We feel their ailment, and we
Oh,
get.
yeah,
But that's only to get that across to the person they're talking to. They're
it's
not.
evident.
They're not like it. They're not standing there now like it. They're just showing us what they pass with. They don't.
And I always say that
We
during
don't make
my,
noises, do we?
yeah,
Well,
during our demos and during my one-to-one readings, I will say, even though they are impressing this upon me, it's only for proof
yeah.
of what
So
was
getting
happening
back
down
to
here
her,
and not up there.
I have found the story quite fascinating because I just think back in that time, there wasn't as many psychic mediums. Maybe we didn't notice them, I don't know, but there probably wasn't as many televised or it wasn't such a big thing. And now everyone seems to be dabbling in something spiritual, which is good because that's what we want in the world. So maybe she got away with that because she was so well publicised, had a manager and a PA, who knows. But I really don't think this woman that she's trying to sue has anything to worry about because her following is.
Oh, no.
But you say about the telephone lines, I remember, I mean, 10 years I've been doing this now, working this work. And in that 10 years, I've had 3 magazines and 2 telephone people contact me to do readings. I've refused all of them because, one, I don't want my name all plastered over something that I don't really find very ethical. But one of those telephone things was hers. It was her PA.
Really?
And I thought, oh, no, 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 no. That's
But
not.
it's interesting because I mean, I actually do know that I was vetted in this one. I was vetted, so they made me give this person a reading before I did it, obviously to check out that I was half decent. Actually, I did very well. But what made it again? No disrespect to sex workers, but their other part of their
Yeah,
company
hurry
was
up,
a
'cause
sex
I've
line.
got a client in a minute. Jokes.
That it
One
was a
of them
sex
clients.
line, but they were obviously the same company, but sex is there, and you know, however they do
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it didn't just sit right with me, but then I'm quite choosy and I'm a bit picky, and I'm quite happy at my ripe old age of getting on towards a big 60 of just doing my own little thing. So I don't really care about that. Don't really want to have my name up in lights. Not really bothered if anyone tries to sue me because can't say that I'm a threat to anyone. Not sure there's anyone famous with the same name, Jane, but you never know. We might turn up.
Plus the fact with our current bank accounts, they probably wouldn't be able to sue us for
Yeah.
that
Look, oh,
level.
keep it over. I mean, guys, we're doing this, people,
Keep
trying
your
to get
tenner.
subscribers, and which one of the reasons we want to go live. On that note, I will say, as this will go out straight after we've recorded it. I'll put it out. But on that note, we won't do one next weekend. We won't do a Sunday Soul search next weekend because it is the Christmas weekendy build up, and Polly's actually away. We might, I'm not promising, but we might do a live card reading together over the Christmas period because we will be seeing each other over the Christmas period. So we did do that not last year, the year before, didn't we? We actually did it live on Facebook anyway, but we will do
Oh.
it on the Sunday Soul Search because we'll be in the same room and we will do readings that day, that show. We will
Readings and chat.
readings and chat. So we won't
But what
just,
you were going to say is that you will have to be a subscriber to if
yeah.
you would like to get a card.
Yeah, because I think actually you have to be on the channel because it'd be YouTube. You have to be on the YouTube channel to subscribe to do it anyway. So it will go live on YouTube. We will be in the same room, so it won't be like it has been today, which was a little bit of trial and error. But we're doing very well at this. I mean, remember, we are psychic mediums and healers. We are not computer whiz kids. And in the old days, we had a Mr. Producer to sort us out. So what is there anything else you want to? It's just said you're looking at that. You see that message?
Yeah.
Says your device storage is low. Both our device storage is low. Our bodies are low. I got on. I think someone was telling me not to go on this morning because I went out for the little Christmas pre-drinks and my friend's birthday, so I killed 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. And although I'm not a big drinker no more, obviously I woke up this morning thinking, not sure I should have done that drinking. So maybe someone up there was saying, Jane, you're not going live today, I can tell you. So before we pull a card each and give a generic on this card, anything else you want to talk about because I know a lot of our group members ask us lots of weird and wonderful questions, and that's what we love about them because we like to answer lots of weird and wonderful questions. And we have just covered a little bit about scammers and fake people or egotistic people that think they deserve to have free reign to the psychic world. If you have an ability, that's what I call it. I can't stand the word gift. If you have an ability and you know that you have an insight spiritually or psychically, you just know, you sense things, you smell things, you see things, you feel things, whatever it is, trust it and go with it. You might not turn out to be the famous people of the world. You may not turn out to do the work we do, but the fact that you follow that journey, the fact that you embrace that into your day-to-day life does change how you cope and deal with situations. And that, I think, was the most important thing for me, especially when I learned spiritual counselling, is how people can bring this into their life. Not readings, I'm not talking readings, I'm talking about the ability to sense there is something more around you and about protecting yourself, keeping your aura protected. I think that's one of the reasons I like the teaching and stuff like that because we're helping people to just trust their spiritual nature. Not, like I said, go out and maybe work and earn a living out of it. Trust their spiritual nature.
Mm.
What would you add to that?
I don't think you need to add anything to that. I think you've just got to find, if you want to go forward, finding the right mentor or teacher is just going to be the key thing that you ever do. But as we said at the very beginning, I did go to a couple of circles and things like that, but that was during while I was still working. I was working in the spiritual way. When I went into these groups, I went into them because I wanted to be with other people that had the same sort of interest as me, because some of my friends didn't. And so I always want to say, if you're going to go forward and you've got anything there that you'd like to begin to experiment with and grow with, but I want to say do it in a safe environment. Yes, some spiritual churches do have groups, but again, you will possibly, if it's a SNU church, will be going down one avenue. That's fine. If that's what calls you, that is absolutely fine. But I think it's good to experiment with a couple of different groups, and maybe one that isn't from the spiritualist church, because you'll get a different perspective. You don't know what's out there and the mentors that are out there until you go searching. Do try and find somebody that somebody else recommends, though. Okay. It's good to get like a bit of a backstory about things, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
But
Just
just be in a
quickly,
safe environment.
I've pulled a couple of cards just quickly. So, this is my tarot pack that I work with on a daily basis. And this is my psychic tarot that I use and I used to use in my other TV show. So, just quickly, the Emperor, this has been a really trying year for me. Well, I said trying decade, but for me personally, this has been a really trying year. We know it was about the snake, the year of the snake in Chinese stuff, and it was about shredding things and getting rid of things. And we're going into the year of the horse, which is obviously my best one anyway. But as soon as I pulled that, I got a massive feeling of just anyone out there that really is the same as me thinking, oh my God, can this year get any worse? Leave you and me. I really think there's a massive shifting going on. Everyone's feeling it. So I see the Empress as the beginning of the year, and it may not be January, February. I'm talking about everyone's a bit doomy gloomy then, but I see that as positive movement. I see that she is about fertility and creativity. If you look at the generic meaning, we don't do that, do we, Polly? But for
Go with
me,
the flow.
she is actually about new starts, fresh beginnings, starting to look at things differently, maybe stepping out of your comfort zone and changing your work, changing a lot of things that you may have been stagnant on for a long time. And this year's taken its toll. So if there is anything in the background that you want to do, she's the card saying, come on, step out and try it. And the other one I got, which went nicely with her, the positive movement forward. I always like this with the blue sea and the sun in the background. That just tells me nothing is impossible. And I've learnt that the hard way, believe you and me, but nothing is impossible. You've just sometimes got to focus and reevaluate what has gone on to see there's a positive always comes out of it. So 2 nice cards for moving into 2026 for me. Did you get before the computer goes?
I have got the world card there. Okay, so we've got the world. That is very much about completion to me, but usually something you've been working towards, going towards, or even completion of things like I'm seeing this just weird in my head. I'm seeing the death card and then I'm seeing this. So it does feel like sometimes a radical change in life or the way you live it, the way you want to push forward in your life is starting to, when I say wrap up, it's almost like I've got to the end of one journey here and now I'm looking at another journey. But I want to say it's a year for collaborating. It's a year for, if you're working together on something, it could be that this all starts to kick off in the right direction. If there's house moves that you're looking for example, this could be a completion around that. But I'm just seeing, like I said, in my head, I'm seeing the death card. So I'm seeing it as an ending and a beginning. So I'm seeing that sometimes we have to wrap things up in this world, in this life, in this moment, and start thinking about the new. I feel like mine should have gone first and then yours next, weirdly.
Possibly.